All right, good morning, everybody. We just got the results from our last round of the simulation, round 7. Wanted just to do a quick debrief as we head into the final presentations over the coming weeks. As a heads up, over the next 3 days, we're going to have our team meetings, our web conferences. I still plan on attending those Fridays or Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I don't know that I'm going to be in the meetings very long. I want to make sure that we can get a good 5-minute debrief from you guys on the entire simulation. I'd like to get some insight, some final thoughts from you guys as well about what worked in the simulation. What you think might need to be improved, either from a structural standpoint or an implementation standpoint, or even on a weekly basis. You know, how we can better use our time together. So I'd like some feedback from you guys on that. I also just want to go over and make sure you guys are solid on the final presentation. I believe that I've got one scheduled so far, maybe for Team Chester, but that's just a guess right now off the top of my head. And make sure that we have a plan moving forward about what's going to happen in the remaining time in the semester. So what I wanted to do today is I'm not necessarily going to go over a whole lot of results in round 7. I think we actually have quite across the board when you look at all the different pieces and parts and what each team was trying to accomplish. And so from my standpoint, not going to look at the financial statistics. I actually think that when we look at the stock price, we were all, through about 2023 trending in that right direction. When we started to hit 2024, you can see not just Andrews or Baldwin, but we also had some other teams dip or level out at that point in time. And when we look at this, that's kind of when it got really, really hard to keep up with some of those high performance or size market segments, right? And so that's kind of where this divergence happened. And when we started like, oh man, like markets really do move faster than we anticipated. So that might be a discussion point going forward as well. I always like to come down to the production information section here just to kind of see where we are. And I think that we spent some time last week on the low market segment and the differences between that and high performance and size, and just how there's more sources of competition there. And I wanted to go back and touch on this again because for everything we discussed last round with each team, I think it's even more so this round. Now, the interesting part about this is, the traditional market segment has about the demand was 13,678, but we actually saw that we did not produce enough, and that's the entire simulation. So when we look at this, it's a missed opportunity, right? And it's not for any of our teams; it's for the entire marketplace. And you can see, like, Ferris didn't even compete in the traditional marketplace. So Erie and Digby were able to take advantage of not the right product positioning or not the right production information, forecasting from that standpoint. Now, when we get down to low, this is by far the biggest volume segment of the entire marketplace, right? We have about 36% of all sales come through the low market segment. And when people see that volume, they're like, oh, all right, I can just grab a little piece of that, and my cash flow is going to be really good if I can get the right product in there. Now, while that is definitely true, you can see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 9 products sell into this category, and that's incredibly difficult, especially when we look at some others when there's 4. Okay. So we're splitting market share a lot of different ways. And I want you to look at how Team Erie has really positioned itself here, right? So with Ebb, they're getting 33% of the market share, but they're producing, over 6,500 units just for this market segment. So when we look at this, they have completely flooded the marketplace with products. Now, the other important part to look at this too is, see if I can blow this up anymore. If you look at Ebb really isn't positioned very well, right? I mean, Eat's way ahead of the market, more in the traditional space, but Ebb is falling all the way back here. So you see that from a positioning standpoint, we're like, maybe they didn't do such a great job, especially when compared with Cedar or any of these others. But man, when we look at what drives this market, it is the price, right? $11.50 to $21.50, and they're coming in and they're undercutting everybody, at least by $1.50, right? In two separate cases. So when we look at this, like, okay, they've dialed into what the market wants. They've got okay product positioning, not great, but they have an old product. They don't spend a whole lot on promotions or sales, not compared to other people. But man, they have just pumped so many units into production and into this market segment that they're just able to rake in that market share really quickly. So I think when we look at this, we can delude ourselves. Delude? I think is that the right word? We can trick ourselves. Keep it easy, John. We can trick ourselves into believing that yes, there's all this market share out there. There's all these products for sale. But I'm going to take it back to what we first started this simulation on, is if we don't accurately deliver what that customer wants every single time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So that's about 7 minutes of conversation on this. I'm going to go in and we're going to talk about the results of the simulation. Again, I want a debrief from each team for the first 5 minutes or so on what you guys took away, what you would change, just some constructive feedback from my standpoint. And we'll look to do that over the next 3 days. If you guys have any questions, reach out and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys.